What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to today's video. So earlier this month in April of 2021 marked the 6-month anniversary of me starting my first developer job. So today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the things that I have learned, both developer related and non-developer related, as they apply to my career that I've learned over the last 6 months. So with that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is things that I have built since being here over the last 6 months. I think that this is pretty cool because I have gotten to do at least one large project since being here, and I think that that's pretty cool because I've built a feature that is a noticeable difference on our website, and it's on a lot of pages. So there's a lot of customers that get to use this feature that I built, even though I'm like still, you know, pretty early in my career. I've built something that a lot of people are using on a regular basis, and I think that that's pretty cool. I have done a lot of kind of smaller projects, code work and stuff like that as well. I've done a lot of like updating to like page like hero and header sections, done product and content updates, so like any kind of info about like descriptions of products, like warranty info updates, like copyright updates on various pages and things like that. Like a lot of like small kind of, not so much like features, but just like maintenance, I guess you would say. I've also done kind of like a UI update to change the layout of like a reviews video section that we had on our website that we were adding some more content to, and we had already updated the rest of the layout on the page, and so the old layout for the section just didn't quite look right anymore. So I got a new layout file from designed from our creative team, and then I built a new layout for that. But even that I would kind of consider being like on the smaller side. It was something that happened over the course of like a couple days or something like that, so not anything major. Now in terms of like what I would consider major projects, there was a project that I worked on for like a couple months, I guess. It took me a while to actually build out the functionality because I had to build it from scratch. BigCommerce, which our website lives on, did not support like a native feature for implementing this, so I had to build it from scratch. BigCommerce also is very particular about things you can and cannot do, even in custom built websites. So because of this, I had to do a lot of, I guess you could say, creative workarounds, creative engineering, whatever you would like to call it. But there was a lot of technical challenges along the way, as well as like I had to wait on things like images from our creative team and stuff like that. But essentially what I did was I built a swatch picker to display like sample thumbnails of products in different colors on all of our category pages. This is something that we did not have before. We had like fake swatches that like you couldn't even click on them. They were just part of the thumbnail. So I built out like what I would consider quite a large feature, like at least in terms of our website, and it's on probably like 80% of the pages on our website. And that's something that I built by myself as a developer within 6 months at my first job. This made like a huge increase to our customer experience and just kind of like overall functionality of the website. And I think that it's like really cool that I got to build something like that. I think that that's really cool. The next thing that I want to talk about is things that I learned on the job. I'm going to start with things that are more code related. So the first thing that I want to talk about is working with an unfamiliar code stack. When I started this job, pretty much all of my experience, like I was what I would consider like a MERN stack developer. So like a lot of my experience was building things in like React, JavaScript, like maybe CSS modules, Bootstrap, like Node backends, just like the typical kind of things that you would use as a MERN stack developer. Coming into this job, our tech stack was BigCommerce. So I did a lot of HTML, like vanilla HTML. All of our CSS was written in Sass. We used vanilla JavaScript for a lot of things. And then we also use like handlebars.js for templating. Some of you may be more familiar with things like EJS, or I think Jade is another one. I don't know. There's a bunch of like templating languages out there, but they all kind of do the same thing. So yeah, I was coming into using like a very unfamiliar tech stack. I wasn't very familiar with Sass. I had never used handlebars before. So that was definitely new and looked very confusing right from the start. I wouldn't say that I really had like very much guidance, I guess, in like learning this tech stack. It was more like, hey, here's the code base, and feel free to explore it and play around in this local development environment, break things and figure out how they work, and kind of go from there. So a lot of it I kind of learned on my own, and even like still like handlebars, because it's not something that, you know, we do very often. We don't create new templates very often, so it's still kind of like strange to me, like working with handlebars, but I understand it a lot better now than I did when I first started. But let's just say that outside of work, it's something I would probably not prefer to use. But I think one other thing that you can take away from this is that if you're applying to your first developer job, yes, try to apply to jobs that have a tech stack that matches your tech stack, because I think it's more likely that you'll get an interview and that you'll be in a better position probably when entering that job. But it also goes to show you that you can also get jobs in completely unrelated tech stacks, and you know, you can still do big things in those positions as long as you're willing to learn it. So the next thing I want to talk about is working with a team in terms of coding, I should say. I kind of had like some brief like teamwork experience and like pair coding and stuff like that during my time at Hack Reactor, but this is the first place I've done it in like a professional capacity. So we do use like GitHub for our workflow. Our workflow is what I would call like unconventional compared to probably a lot of, if not most of, developer jobs. I'm not gonna go too much into that, but we do use GitHub for like our regular workflow, and it was very familiar based on my experience at Hack Reactor. We you know, do the same kind of like code reviews, pull requests and things like that, like just a typical like Git workflow. And this was something that I picked up at Hack Reactor, so it already seemed, you know, a little bit familiar. Like we don't really have like a CI/CD pipeline or anything like that, so there wasn't like a whole lot of like advanced, you know, concepts to kind of pick up behind the scenes about like how our deployment pipeline works. It's actually like pretty simple. The team sizes, like from my experience at Hack Reactor to now, I would say is also pretty familiar. I did projects at Hack Reactor with like 3 or 4 people on a team, and then I came here and you know, I work on a very, very small team here as well. Our web dev department is like probably 7 or 8 people total, and only 3 of us are technically developers. The other ones are product listers. So only 3 of us work in the code base, really, you know, on a given day. So, you know, I'm still working in that very like small team dynamic. So you get to, you know, kind of know like your teammates very well. The next thing that I want to talk about is working between departments. At my current company, we have our web dev department, and then we have creative department. So we work very closely with the creative department because we get our UI mockups, like like Adobe XD mockups and stuff like that, as well as like all of our image assets that we use for our projects and building out, you know, these pages and things like that. We get all of that stuff from the creative team. So we work very closely with them, and we talk to them on like almost a daily basis. It really, you know, was a little bit of like an eye-opener at first, just to kind of like how different it was to work in an organization versus, you know, doing like a personal project or something like that. Whereas like I would be the one to go, you know, get images and decide how things are going to look and stuff like that. Like I have to wait for these things, this information from another department before I can build something, because, you know, it has to be approved by management and things like that before like anything can be done that can go live on the website. So there's a lot of differences like this that kind of come with working for an organization. Anyways, I think this video ended up way longer than I expected it to be. I'm really going to try and trim it down. But I want to thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to smash the like button down below and hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified when I post new content. Until next time, guys.